The day Landon Vance came back, I knew my time as husband by contract had an expiration date. The prodigal son was back, which meant me, the husband by contract, was officially on my way out. My mother-in-law, Eleanor, who had once treated me with the warmth of 1,000 suns, now orbited a different star. Her entire world revolved around Claire's childhood friend. "You've been gone so long, Landon," she said, eyes shining. "I'm going to cook all your favorites and put some meat back on those bones." My sister-in-law, Chloe, normally glued to me like static, was now all sharp edges and crossed arms. "Sorry," she said flatly. "But I never wanted you for a brother-in-law anyway." And Claire Sterling, my Ice Queen CEO wife, was as frigid as ever. "Look at a divorce," she said without even blinking. Landon Vance shot me a triumphant smirk. "Sorry, man. Can't help it. Some of us just have that kind of charm. Even after all this time, they're still crazy about me." I didn't say a word. My hands trembled slightly as I took the divorce papers. I turned and walked toward the door, shoulders slumped, the perfect portrait of lonely, pathetic defeat. Anyone watching would have thought I was starring in my own sad, silent indie film. But the second the front door clicked shut behind me, a grin stretched across my face, sliding into the back of a yellow cab. I pulled out my phone and stared at my bank account balance, the long string of zeros after the 7. I couldn't stop the laugh bubbling out of my chest. I'd only ever seen that many zeros on a NASA countdown clock. "Someone get some good news?" the driver asked, glancing at me in the rearview mirror. I tossed him the Gatorade I'd grabbed from the fridge on my way out. "Today," I announced, "I'm a free man." A small smile touched his mouth. "Congratulations. Thanks. So, take me to the most romantic place in the world?" He raised an eyebrow. "A honeymoon suite in the Poconos? The coast?" He chuckled, and so did I. With a fortune in my pocket, I crossed the great American landscape. I saw the granite faces of Mount Rushmore, the geysers of Yellowstone, the sprawling canyons, and the towering redwoods. Then I went global, chasing summer across continents until I finally came home. Back in my own city, I sank into a plush bed, ready to spend the next day exploring the best coffee shops. But when I woke up, the world was spinning. The ceiling was unfamiliar. My arms and legs were tied, heavy, useless. A familiar perfume filled the air. A shadowy figure loomed over me, their eyes glowing red in the dim light. Then they pounced. "Finally caught you. Truth is, I should have seen this coming. It's how all the stories go. The day everything started to fall apart, a man in an impeccably tailored suit had been holding court in the living room, charming everyone. And who is this?" His eyes landed on me. I'd been lounging on the sofa, scrolling my phone. I stood up and pocketed it. "Hi, He's Claire's husband," Eleanor said, emerging from the kitchen looking impossibly young, more glamorous even than her own daughter. She set a platter of sliced fruit on the table, her smile never faltering as she looked at the man. "They've been married 3 years now." The man's brow furrowed. He glanced at Claire, who remained as cold and unreadable as ever. His face tightened for a split second before he turned back to me, his charming smile snapping back into place. "Well, a brother-in-law. Forget my manners." He strode over, hand extended. "I can't believe Claire got married. We grew up together, practically attached at the hip. You'd think she'd have told me." "That's not cool, Claire." His tone was light, but his eyes were like daggers. Landon Vance. He flashed his expensive watch as we shook hands. Ethan Hayes. An immense pressure clamped down on my hand. He was trying to crush it. Eyes locked on mine, a clear challenge. Then he slung an arm over my shoulders, pulling me close as though sharing a secret. He leaned in, voice low and sharp. "I suggest you get the picture and walk away on your own, buddy. Or I'll make you." He pulled back instantly, but his grip didn't loosen. I let him squeeze, a small smile playing on my lips. Then I brought my other hand up and gently placed it over his. It must have been a long flight. "You look exhausted." His eyes widened. His face flushed deep red, veins standing out on his forehead. He staggered, trying to yank his hand free, but I held firm. After a moment, I let go with a smile. He stood there panting, sweat beading on his brow. What were you two whispering about? Eleanor asked cheerfully. Landon gritted his teeth, shot me a venomous glare, then turned to Eleanor with a forced grin. Nothing. Just guy stuff. A little secret between men, right? He looked back at me, daring me to speak. I shrugged. That's right. Yeah, Landon chuckled weakly. Just some guy stuff. But it's nothing I can't tell my mother-in-law. Mr. Vance here, I interrupted smoothly, was just telling me that after his trip abroad, he discovered he has an interest in men. Specifically me. That's why his handshake was so enthusiastic. Eleanor gasped. Now that I'd said it, the whole scene replayed in everyone's minds through a new lens. Landon grabbing my hand, pulling me close, whispering in my ear, holding on tight, face red, breathing heavy, staring intensely at me. It all added up. He's gay! Chloe shouted with glee. She must have come home at some point. She rummaged through her designer tote bag and pulled out a manga. Lanny, can you do this pose for me? Lanny? My eyebrows shot up. Eleanor smacked Chloe lightly on the head. What did I say about that nickname? Show some respect, Chloe pouted. But it's his fault. Remember that time in middle school when he was alone in the dance studio? Landon's eyes went wide. He snatched the manga from her. I'll do it. I'll do the pose, he stammered, cutting her off with a strange smile. Chloe, thrilled, wisely dropped the subject and flipped open the book. This page right here. Landon, regaining his composure, tossed his perfectly parted hair. Let's see it. I can pull off any... His voice trailed off as his face went from confident to ashen. Hey, Chloe, maybe we could pick a different one, he said. Why? She asked, genuinely confused. This one's great. It has so much raw power. I craned my neck to look and almost choked. The illustration was beautifully drawn. A handsome man, yes, but with wide, vulnerable eyes, biting the hem of his shirt and exposing his stomach. He looked like a damsel in distress facing a crowd of hulking, muscle-bound men. Chloe, you little menace! Her face glowed with anticipation. Landon's face with dread. In the end, he was forced to pose for a few pictures. Then Chloe dragged him outside, making him do it on the front steps where all the neighbors could see. The street filled with muffled laughter and far too many interested stares. Mortified, Landon grabbed his jacket and fled. As he ran, he shot me a look of pure hatred, as if this was all my fault. I sighed and sat back down. Eleanor hummed happily in the kitchen. Claire had disappeared into her home office, cold as ever. Chloe was giggling on the couch, scrolling through the photos she'd just taken. Everything in its right place. Thinking back, it all felt surreal, like something out of a novel. My marriage to Claire had been a business deal. She was a car wreck and I just happened to be passing by. I got her to the hospital. As a thank you, and to get her family off her back, we struck a deal. A 3-year contract marriage. I got $300,000 up front, plus $5,000 a month. Best gig ever. Now that her childhood sweetheart was back, I was fine with a divorce. But I couldn't be the one to initiate it. The contract was crystal clear. If I broke it, I owed her $1 million. Unless she asked for it, or 3 years passed, my lips were sealed. What if this was all a scheme to make me break the contract? For every day I stayed, I got paid. Why argue with a paycheck? But today made me realize my peaceful gig was probably over. I was frowning at my phone when a pair of long, slender legs draped themselves over my lap. I pushed them off. They came back. After a few rounds, I looked over. Chloe was lounging on the couch, grinning mischievously. I want it, she said, her voice a low purr. What kind of talk is that? Before I could react, Eleanor flicked her on the forehead. Is that any way to talk to your brother-in-law? No manners at all, Eleanor glared. Pushed Chloe's legs off me and sat down between us. Setting a bowl of cubed watermelon on the table. Here, eat. Oh, thanks. As I reached for a piece, Chloe gently kicked me. I glanced over. She looked completely innocent. I reached again. Kick. Then she opened her mouth slightly, batting her eyelashes, a clear signal to feed her. The next thing she knew, Eleanor was popping a piece of watermelon into her mouth instead. Honestly, You have no shame, Eleanor scolded. Chloe just giggled. I was just kidding. I just wanted Ethan to give me a leg rub. Besides, he gives you foot rubs. Thump. Chloe got another flick on the forehead. That's different. I twisted my ankle. He was helping me with the swelling. Same difference, Chloe muttered. Scrambling up when Eleanor's hand raised again, she dashed into Claire's office to cause trouble there instead. A second later, Chloe! Claire's voice rang out. Watching them, I felt a strange pang of warmth. It was a nice family, but it was built on a lie. When Claire and I finally divorced, I wondered how they'd react. Ah! Eleanor had speared a piece of watermelon and was holding it to my lips. Whoa, no, I can get it. I quickly took it from her. She chuckled and let me. Wow, this is really sweet. If you like it, have some more, she said with a smile. Honestly, Eleanor was wonderful to me. I was just an ordinary guy. If I hadn't saved Claire and if she hadn't been desperate, I never would have met people like this. When Claire first brought me home, I almost mistook Eleanor for her older sister. She had none of the arrogance you'd expect from the wealthy. She was gentle, asked about everything, habits, hobbies, our love story. Claire and I had rehearsed most of it. I improvised the rest. Somehow I passed Eleanor had been so pleased, holding my hand and telling me about her life. I learned she hadn't had it easy. Claire's father had died young, leaving her to raise a daughter and run a massive corporation on her own. She was remarkable. When Claire and I got married, Eleanor cried tears of joy. Looking at her now, I felt a wave of guilt. I'm sorry, I thought. I'm a counterfeit, a fraud your daughter hired. That night after showering, I walked into the bedroom and froze. Claire was already there, propped up against the headboard, reading. This was awkward. Eleanor was staying over, so we couldn't sleep in separate rooms. Claire sat quietly, her hair still damp under the warm lamplight. Her skin glowed with a soft pinkish hue. I sighed, grabbed a comforter and pillow from the closet, and started making myself a bed on the floor. The sharp snap of a book closing made me look up. Claire was staring at me with those cool, unreadable eyes. You can sleep on the bed tonight, she said. I froze, stunned. Then I stepped back with my hands up in mock defense. Hey, I'm for hire, but not for that. Claire blinked and gave me a look that said, Are you serious? Unless you pay extra, I added. She just froze. Then she closed her eyes like she was forcing herself not to strangle me. It looks like it's starting to rain, she said softly, not looking at me. It's not good to sleep on the floor when it's damp. She hesitated. And Mom's been acting a little strange today. I'm worried she might just walk in. I narrowed my eyes. You think she'd really do that? Claire just sighed, her face completely unreadable. I can never tell what she's thinking. It's better to be safe than sorry, she said. We can't risk blowing our cover. You trust me that much? I asked. Her steady gaze met mine. Would you try anything? Without waiting for an answer, she set her book down, gave me one last glance, and lay down. Suit yourself. I stood there for a moment staring at her. The thin blanket she was under did nothing to hide the graceful curves of her body. Wait a second, lady. That last question was dangerously ambiguous. Outside, rain began to fall harder, and a damp chill crept into the room. I looked at the empty space beside her on the bed. To hell with it, I thought, gritting my teeth as I dove in. The sheets were warm and smelled faintly of her. I swallowed hard and closed my eyes, silently reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. This fragrant warmth less than a foot away from me. This was definitely a trap. She was trying to tempt me into breaking the contract so she could sue me for everything I had. The nerve. With that thought, I started to drift off. Until a phone rang. Claire's voice was soft as she answered. A man's voice came through next, almost whining. Claire, it's thundering! I'm so scared. Can you come over? Good Lord. It was Landon. I waited, curious to see how she'd respond. According to every romance novel I've ever read, this is where she'd sit bolt upright, panic for his sake, and rush to him, ignoring her husband's protests, and probably calling him petty. When did you become such a drama queen? She asked instead, her voice icy. Did your orientation really change? Are you trying to tell me something? Silence. Then Landon's flustered voice came back. Claire, you misunderstood. I was worried about you. And he launched into some long, whiny speech about her safety. Claire sighed. Okay, I get it. He sounded overjoyed. So you're coming? I'll wait for you, Claire. She hung up. I felt her eyes on my back. Then the warmth beside me disappeared, and I heard her bare feet hit the floor. Yep. She's going out in the rain to see him, I thought. She probably won't be back all night. And tomorrow, if I dare mention it, she'll say, we're just friends. Can you stop being so insecure? I could already hear it. If anything was going to happen between us, it would have happened a long time ago. You wouldn't even be in the picture. I was a genius. As I was patting myself on the back for figuring her out, her cool voice floated through the room. I couldn't make out what she said, but a moment later I felt the mattress dip. She was back. Our backs touched. A shiver shot down my spine. Wait a minute. That's not how this scene is supposed to go. I was still processing when the phone rang again. Claire let out an annoyed sigh and answered. This time, Landon's voice was panicked, almost hysterical. Claire! Claire! There are these huge guys outside my door. It's terrifying. Are you here yet? Claire's voice was completely flat. I'm still at home. But you said you were coming. Do you have any idea what time it is? It's pouring rain. Why would I go out? Besides, I sent a few guys over. With them there, nobody can hurt you. A loud crash echoed through the phone, followed by static. Then Landon's voice, now a terrified scream, blared through the speaker. No! What are you doing? Stop! My pants! What is that? No, not there! A series of agonized shrieks followed. Then Claire calmly ended the call and slid back into bed. I clenched my butt cheeks. I heard nothing. Nothing at all. That woman was terrifying. The next morning, a gentle breeze on my face woke me. I opened my eyes and nearly had a heart attack. Claire's face was inches from mine. At some point during the night, my arm had wrapped itself around her. Impossible. I sleep like a log. She definitely planned this. A scheme to make me break the contract and pay her every last cent. I carefully retracted my arm and slid out of bed. Only when I was sure she was still asleep did I exhale in relief. I showered, got dressed, and went downstairs and froze. Landon was sitting at the dining table. When he saw me, his face darkened for a split second before he plastered on a smile and stood. Claire, he said. I caught the faint scent of her shampoo just before she appeared behind me. Oh, this was going to kill him. Landon walked toward us, moving stiffly, almost awkwardly. Lanny, is that a new dance move you're working on? Chloe called from the kitchen, smirking. Landon's expression went blank. He shot me another glare, as if last night's security team had been my idea. What did I even do? Forcing a laugh, he grabbed some gift bags from the sideboard. I was in such a rush yesterday, I forgot to give you these. You shouldn't have, Eleanor said warmly, ushering everyone to the table. Breakfast was lavish. Lanny, why aren't you sitting? Chloe asked, biting into a croissant. I'm fine, he said with a weird smile. I'm on a new fitness plan. Eating while standing is better for digestion. Chloe's eyes glinted. She sauntered over, set her hands on his shoulders, and grinned. Don't be like that. You're making it seem like we're not close anymore. And with that, she shoved him into the chair. Ah! The strangled cry that escaped him was not dignified. Chloe pretended innocence. Oh, was I too rough, Lanny? She pressed him down again. His face turned crimson. No, I'm fine. Come on, everyone, eat, Eleanor said cheerfully. This soup took me hours. She ladled a bowl for Landon. He relaxed slightly, exhaled, and picked it up. This looks incredible, he said, trying to impress Eleanor. He downed the entire thing in one go. Delicious, so fragrant. Eleanor, this soup is oof. His body suddenly jerked like a shrimp. His face turned greenish. He clutched his rear and stared at Eleanor in panic. Eleanor, what kind of soup was that? She tapped her chin with a sly smile. My 10-herb healing broth. Improves circulation and breaks up bruising. Good, right? Landon's eyes went wide. His face went through every color in the rainbow before settling on gray. Then he bolted to his feet. Ha ha, Eleanor, I just remembered I have something urgent to do. Gotta run. He clutched his backside and scuttled away, keeping his back to the wall, but not fast enough. The bright red stain spreading across his beige pants was impossible to miss. Claire and Eleanor immediately put down their forks. Chloe, however, happily kept munching. "Hey, sis," she said cheerfully to Claire. "I ran into Jake and the guys today. They said they went over to Lanny's last night and saw he'd gotten into a fight. Apparently, he made fun of some guys earlier, and they caught up with him with baseball bats. They said it was brutal." My jaw dropped. "Oh, Landon, my friend. My condolences." But if Jake was there, at least he wouldn't have taken advantage. Best not to think about it. I figured Landon would stay low for a while. I underestimated him. About a week later, he invited us all to dinner. "Sorry I had to rush off last time. Things have been hectic at the office," he said, flashing a new Rolex. He ordered half the menu, covering the table in expensive dishes. "Don't be shy. Order anything you want." "It's not good," Chloe said after one bite. "Completely deadpan. Not as good as Ethan's cooking." Landon's smile froze. Eleanor jumped in quickly. "Haha, Chloe's just a picky eater. She tried a bite herself." "But yes, this is delicious. You really put a lot of thought into this, Landon." A flicker of relief passed over his face. "But she's right," Eleanor added thoughtfully. "It's not quite as good as Ethan's." Landon's jaw tightened. He turned to Claire. "Claire, you have to try this. I picked this restaurant especially for you." He tried to serve her, but Claire ignored him, calmly picking up her own piece of fish. Landon laughed awkwardly and turned to me. "Mr. Hayes, you should try some too. It's not every day you get to eat like this." I knew it was a dig, but I didn't care. I popped a shrimp into my mouth. Was all I said. Landon frowned. "Oh, I guess that means your cooking really is something special." I just smiled. I hadn't said a single word, and he was already drawing conclusions. He sneered. "You must be a very humble man." "Unlike me, I never have time to cook. Just last month, I closed a deal in Europe worth—" He went on and on, trying to prove how important he was. Finally, he asked, "So, Mr. Hayes, where are you working these days?" I looked him dead in the eye. "Oh, me? I'm living off my wife." He just stared at me, completely thrown. Chloe burst out laughing. "Ethan, you're too much. Lanny, don't listen to him. He's my sister's executive assistant. He's amazing at his job. She wasn't lying. Since I had the chance, I figured I might as well learn something. Working with Claire taught me so much about business, and I made plenty of connections along the way, even after the divorce." I'd be set. Landon just raised an eyebrow, then launched into stories about him and Claire. "You have no idea. We were the golden couple in high school. Everyone thought we'd end up together. What a shame, huh?" Then he turned to me with mock sympathy. "Oh, my mistake. I shouldn't be talking about this." "I'll drink to that." Chloe, finishing a piece of fish, happily chimed in, "Ha ha, Lanny, you're so funny. Wasn't the golden couple just a rumor you paid kids to spread? One of them even tried to pay me to do it. And didn't you get dragged behind the gym and beaten up by that senior who liked my sister?" Eleanor quickly shoved a piece of steak into Chloe's mouth to shut her up. She chewed, swallowed, and mumbled, "Still not as good as Ethan's cooking." Landon seized the chance to change the subject. "Well, perhaps we could all have the pleasure of tasting Mr. Hayes' cooking tonight," he said with a smirk. I was about to refuse because I don't work for free, but Chloe cut me off. "He'd love to." Damn it, Landon's smirk widened. "As it happens, I know my way around a kitchen, too," Chloe grinned. "Oh, then I'll get the ingredients. You two can have a cook-off." Next thing I knew, we were standing in the restaurant's kitchen. In front of us were several bowls of foraged mushrooms, a type of false morel, notoriously tricky to prepare. I sighed and glanced at Chloe, who was grinning from ear to ear. "Begin." I got to work immediately, slicing the mushrooms with practiced precision and sautéing them quickly. Within minutes, my dish was ready. Chloe rushed forward to taste it first. Eleanor followed, and both of their faces lit up with delight. Even Claire gave me a small approving nod. Landon was watching closely. He took a deep breath. If I could do it, so could he. The steps looked simple enough. "You know, Lanny, you could just give up. My sister won't think any less of you," Chloe teased. That erased any last shred of hesitation. "No problem. Just you wait." He mimicked my steps exactly, and a few minutes later, he proudly presented his dish. Please enjoy. But the three women took a step back, gesturing for him to go first, furious at their lack of trust. Landon forced a laugh and shoveled a big bite into his mouth. Then another. And another. See? Perfectly fine. You guys should really what... He suddenly stopped. Look at all the pretty stars. His body started swaying before he collapsed into a goofy grin. Alarmed, Eleanor called for their driver, Jake. The moment Jake stepped into the kitchen, Landon's eyes lit up like he'd seen a divine vision. Claire. My love, he slurred. A drunken smile plastered across his face. You dressed up like this just for me, didn't you? Here I come. Before I could react, he tore off his shirt and pants and hurled himself at Jake. Jake's face lit up for just a second before he quickly composed himself. Claire pinched the bridge of her nose and waved her hand dismissively. Jake, just get him to the hospital. Jake looked down at Landon, licked his lips and gave him a discreet squeeze before scooping him up in a princess carry and rushing him out. I just watched them go, then quietly scraped Landon's mushrooms into the trash. Godspeed, my friend. May you not only protect your health, but your dignity too. That weekend I was out with Claire, Chloe, and Eleanor. As usual, Chloe dragged me all over the place. Right in the middle of our walk, Claire's phone rang. Claire, I think I'm sick. My head is killing me. Can you come over? Claire's tone was flat. I'm not a doctor. It's not like I can magically cure you. But you're the closest person I have here. I'm all alone, he whined, playing the sympathy card. Claire's expression softened just a little. Oh, I see. That is sad, right? So I'll have Jake come take care of you, she cut in. I'm fine now. Never mind, Landon said quickly and hung up. We kept walking. A short while later, we ran into Landon in the park. He looked pale and genuinely unwell. What are you doing here? Claire asked. The doctor said a walk would do me good. Get some fresh air. What a coincidence running into you here, he said, forcing a smile. And then he proceeded to follow us. Like gum on a shoe, Chloe muttered under her breath. Landon just smiled and sidled up next to me. I'm going to show you what I mean to them, he whispered with a smirk. Then he suddenly grabbed my hand and dramatically threw himself backward. Oh no, Mr. Hayes. I didn't realize my return would upset you so much. Claire, don't blame. His words died in his throat. He had landed against a broad, familiar chest. He slowly turned his head and found himself staring into Jake's smiling face. Mr. Vance, are you all right? Jake asked sweetly, one hand on Landon's chest, the other cupping his backside. Landon froze as Jake gave him a firm squeeze. I saw the whole thing, Jake added cheerfully, and squeezed again. A shiver of pure terror ran down Landon's spine as memories of that night and a very specific pain rushed back to him. Jake set him on his feet, delivered a package to Eleanor, then gave Landon a playful wink before leaving. Landon's face was white as a sheet. I just sighed and kept walking. He trailed behind us silently, at a quiet intersection. A group of shady-looking guys blocked our path. Give us your money and no one gets hurt, one growled. Though his eyes were very clearly roaming over Claire and the others, Landon immediately stepped in front. Claire, you guys go. I can handle these punks. He struck a dramatic fighting stance and charged. A second later, he was on the ground, bleeding and getting kicked repeatedly. Still, he struggled to his feet and charged again. A few minutes later, he was curled up on the pavement as the entire group kicked him. He looked over at us, wide-eyed. Claire, run! But when he looked again, the men were all on the ground, groaning in pain, and standing over them was me, dusting off my hands. Really? Was all this necessary? Landon just stared at me in disbelief. Just then, another group of thugs rounded the corner. All right, hand over the... They stopped mid-sentence, seeing Landon and the first group already taken out. They exchanged confused looks. Weren't they the only ones hired for this job? Was this some kind of turf war? Furious, their leader charged at me. I cracked my knuckles, feeling the ache in my muscles. Taking on that many guys wasn't easy, but just then, police sirens wailed. Chloe ran to my side, followed by Eleanor and Claire. I called the cops, Ethan. The thugs froze. Then, in perfect synchronization, They all dropped to the ground with their hands on their heads. The police arrived and cuffed the first group. The second group, clearly professionals, maintained perfect surrender posture. As they were led away, one of them even shouted, "Hey man, our bad. We'll buy you a beer next time." Unbelievable. After the police left, Chloe and Eleanor swarmed me. "Ethan, are you okay? Don't you die on me, brother-in-law." Their hands were all over me, checking for injuries. I felt strangely violated. Claire stood a little apart, staring at me with an unreadable expression. She opened her mouth, closed it again, then lowered her gaze. From the ground, a weak voice croaked, "Ambulance!" Jake arrived, again, scooped Landon up and rushed him to the hospital. I got checked out too. Just scrapes and bruises. I reached for my phone, but it was gone. "Here it is." Chloe burst back into the room holding it up. "Aren't I the best?" I took it with a sigh. "Yeah, you're the best," her eyes sparkled. "Oh, you said it. I'll be waiting for you tonight." Always joking, that one. But her expression suddenly shifted. "I've actually got to run. Mom will take good care of—" "Hey, where'd Mom go?" Eleanor was gone. Chloe looked at Claire, who had just walked in. "Well, sis, you take care of your husband. I have to go." And with that, she bolted like her life depended on it. Claire blinked, then glanced at me a little awkwardly. She sighed and sat beside me. "Does it still hurt anywhere?" she asked softly. I shook my head. "I'm fine. Don't be so reckless next time." "You need to protect yourself." I froze. I never expected to hear that from her. "Okay, I will." Her gaze fell on the cut on my arm. Her hand twitched as if she wanted to touch it, but she clenched her fist instead. "I'll help you walk. I don't need—" Her icy glare shut me up. "I'll pay you extra." "Yes, ma'am." She supported me all the way home. After all that, Landon stayed quiet for a while. Honestly, if he had succeeded, I wouldn't have cared. If Claire ended the contract early, she'd owe me $1 million. Still, after almost 3 years, I was starting to feel a little nostalgic. I went out for groceries. It was Eleanor's birthday, and Chloe had insisted I cook. Claire had a meeting and said she'd be late, so I went on my own. Halfway home, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Claire, an address, a hotel. She wanted me to meet her there, something she needed to discuss. Strange, but I went. When I got to the room, the door was slightly ajar. "Claire." No answer. I stepped inside, and just as I was about to leave, a figure lunged at me, arms wrapping tight around me. I tried to push her off, but she clung to me, trying to kiss me. I finally broke free. The woman was wearing heavy makeup and barely anything else. I thought I had the wrong room and turned to leave. But she blocked me again, trying to throw herself at me. Then it clicked. This was a setup. I shoved her aside and ran. Later, I arrived at Eleanor's. Chloe was curled up next to her mom on the couch. Claire still hadn't arrived. I let out a breath, set down the groceries, and sat. The door opened. Claire walked in, with Landon right beside her. Chloe sidled up to me. "You know, Ethan, I really feel for you. Look how close those two are." She held up her phone. Picture of Claire and Landon in a coffee shop laughing. Together. The timestamp was from just when Claire had supposedly been in a meeting. I raised an eyebrow. Shouldn't. "You be hiding this from me? She's your sister." Chloe just smiled and patted my shoulder. "But I like you more." Then she sauntered off to the kitchen. Dinner was soon ready, per our agreement. I had to act affectionate toward Claire. I reached to put some food on her plate, but she served herself. Landon smirked and tried to serve her fish too, which she also dodged. He laughed awkwardly, then looked straight at me. Some people just don't know how to conduct themselves with decency. I frowned. "Lanny, what are you talking about?" Chloe demanded. "Oh, I'm not talking nonsense," Landon said smugly. "Someone here knows exactly what I mean." Pulled out his phone and displayed a photo. Me in a tight embrace with that scantily clad woman from the hotel. So that was his game. I looked at Claire. "It's not what it looks like." "You don't have to explain anything to me," she said flatly. "I trust you." Her tone surprised me. I was about to explain when Landon dropped his final bomb. "And you know, I found something else very interesting. He swiped, now showing a picture of my marriage contract with Claire. I had no idea. Claire, are you and Mr. Hayes in a fake marriage? His voice dripped with mock surprise. Eleanor snatched the phone and read it. Her hands trembling, then she turned to Claire. Claire, explain. This to me. Claire's face barely changed. She let out a long sigh. What you see is the truth. She told her. Everything. Eleanor's breathing turned ragged. She slammed the phone on the table, shattering the screen. Landon flinched. Before he could speak, Eleanor cut him off. I knew something was always off about you two. She took a deep breath. The contract is over. Claire flinched, lips parting as if she wanted to say something, but she stayed silent. Let's get a divorce. That day, Landon was ecstatic. Eleanor was furious. Claire was ice cold, and Chloe kept eating. Delighted by the drama, I walked out of their lives. When the truth finally came out, Eleanor felt awful. You saved my daughter's life only to be used by her, she said. Gripping my hand, then she wrote me a check for $7 million. Ethan, our family has wronged you. I tried to pull my hand away, but she wouldn't let go. It's okay, I said with a smile. I agreed to it. After a long time, I finally freed myself from her grasp. I never wanted you for a brother-in-law anyway, Chloe whispered in my ear, her triumphant smirk clear in her voice. I understood everything then, so that's how much they disliked me. It made sense. Landon, for all his flaws, was one of them. I was just an outsider they'd known for less than 3 years. I glanced at the smug look on Landon's face, then at Claire, who was standing silently by the door. Avoiding my gaze, I turned and left. Out on the street, I looked up at the blue sky and white clouds and felt a profound sense of relief. With all this money, how could I not be happy? I had prepared for this day. I already had a place lined up. I hailed a cab, staring at the bank card in my hand and the string of zeros on my phone screen. I couldn't stop smiling. Someone get some good news, the driver asked. I handed him a soda I'd grabbed on my way out. Today I'm a free man, he smiled. Congratulations. Thanks. So where are we headed? To the freest place on earth, Vegas, the ocean. He chuckled, and so did I. I went straight to my house on the coast. I threw open the windows and let the fresh, salty air fill the room. I spent my days eating, drinking, and living a life of blissful leisure I'd never known. But things got weird. Eleanor started visiting all the time, bringing food and drinks, staying for hours, always saying she was trying to make up for how Claire had treated me. When I told her it wasn't necessary, she would look at me with sad eyes. Are you angry with me for making you divorce Claire? I thought we could still be friends. How could I refuse that? She had always been good to me. Just because Claire and I were divorced didn't mean we had to be enemies. From now on, you can just call me by my name. Eleanor. Got it, I said. She insisted. Something felt off. Do friends lie in each other's laps while one gives the other an ear cleaning? Strange. And Chloe was even stranger, though it was sort of in character for her. So, you're not my brother-in-law anymore. What's it got to do with me? I couldn't argue with her logic. She dragged me everywhere, to food trucks and tourist traps. When we went to her college campus, she'd link her arm through mine and greet all her friends. Chloe, is that your boyfriend? She'd just give me a sly look. Is he or isn't he? She was a little demon. Being tortured by those two started to feel wrong. The whole situation was bizarre, like the calm before a storm. Not wanting to get any more entangled with my former employer's family, I packed a bag one night and fled the country. I saw the world. I swam in the turquoise waters of Thailand and wandered the streets of Venice. I saw the northern lights in Iceland and the lavender fields of Provence. I hiked through Yellowstone and ate my way across 3 continents. But nothing tasted quite right. I missed the food from home. It was months before I returned. After a trip to the mountains, I found myself in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The scenery was breathtaking. I settled into a cozy little cantina, sipping tequila, feeling the world soften at the edges. Hey, handsome, let me buy you a drink. A shot glass slid in front of me. Well, she called me handsome. It would be rude not to. I tossed it back. Thump, darkness. When I came to, I tried to rub my eyes but found I couldn't move. My arms and legs were bound. The alcohol haze vanished instantly. Crap! I've been had! I looked to the side and saw who it was and let out a sigh of relief. Chloe, stop messing around. Untie me. Standing by the bed was Chloe. She was always pulling pranks like this. I smiled, but as she walked closer, her own smile sent a shiver down my spine. You don't seem to understand the situation, do you, Ethan? Her voice was different, and then a strange heat began to spread through my body, a dizzying fog clouding my mind. I was losing control. I finally have you. In the haze, I saw Chloe's dress slip to the floor. Her fingers traced a path from my ear. Down my nose, across my lips to my collarbone. This is perfect. Now I can finally— Her words blurred. I couldn't think straight. No. We can't, I mumbled. She leaned over me, her weight pressing me down into the mattress. Too late. My mind went blank. The world dissolved into heat and sensation. In my delirium, my mind drifted back to my childhood, to grinding chili peppers with my grandmother, the rhythmic thump of the pestle in the mortar, to eating fresh fruit from the garden, apples, pears, and my favorite grapes, peeling back the dark skin to reveal the sweet pulp inside. Images flickered. Eleanor's face merged with that of my third-grade teacher, a beautiful woman I'd loudly declared I was going to marry. I remembered her ruffling my hair with a strange look in her eyes and saying, "We'll see when you're all grown up." Chloe's face brought back a memory of a shy, quiet girl from middle school who was always being picked on. Right before I moved away, she'd grabbed my hand and told me she was going to become beautiful and popular, and that I should wait for her. I think I told her to just be herself, to be comfortable in her own skin. I wonder if she ever listened. I thought I heard Eleanor and Chloe arguing. "Mom, it's my turn." "Just a minute. I'm not done." "What? You've had him for hours." "It's my turn. Honey, I'm teaching you. Pay attention." "Teaching me what?" "I'm not a child. You went first. How much longer are you going to hog him?" "Well, maybe you shouldn't have taken a shower first." "Finders keepers." Their voices grew louder. "You're the one who deliberately leaked the fake marriage to Lanny, aren't you? You scheming witch! How dare you talk to your mother that way?" "You know better. You're the one who gave Landon the chance to use Claire's phone to text Ethan, who encouraged him to set Ethan up. And that picture from the coffee shop. You were there too, weren't you?" "What are you talking about?" "I wasn't there." "Oh, I checked the security footage. You were sitting right between them, just out of frame. Claire was smiling at you, wasn't she?" Chloe went silent. "Good. Now be quiet. I don't know how much time passed. I heard a banging on the door. Open up. I know you're in there." It sounded like Claire. She sounded furious. "Mom, don't even try to talk your way out of this. I was going to talk to Ethan, but you told me to wait, that he needed space. And you, Chloe, I came to you for relationship advice, and you said you'd help me figure things out. Is this what you call figuring things out? You two are unbelievable." The arguing continued. I heard Chloe say, "Well, it's your own fault for being so slow." The noise was splitting my head. I jolted, and the world snapped back into focus. "You're awake." Sitting beside me was Claire. Across the room were Chloe and Eleanor. Ethan. Ethan. They both spoke at once, but one glare from Claire and they fell silent, staring at the floor like chastened schoolgirls. How did Claire become the one in charge? Eleanor was the matriarch, and Chloe was the resident wild child. Why were they suddenly so terrified of her? I sighed and closed my eyes again. The information overload was too much. I needed a minute. On the drive back, Claire held my arm like her life depended on it. Eleanor drove and Chloe sat in the passenger seat. Silent. Claire told me everything. How she regretted being so cold, so stubborn. From her perspective, she'd started falling for me a long time ago. We'd been through a lot, from the car crash to the daily comedy of our fake marriage. She said my cooking was amazing, that I was always considerate, that I noticed the little things and understood her moods in a way no one else ever had. Bit by bit, I had chipped away at the ice around her heart. At first, she dismissed it as simple gratitude. But eventually she couldn't deny it anymore. She tried to send signals, but I was, in her words, as dense as a block of wood. That's when all the weirdness from the past few years clicked into place. Her suddenly trying to cook for me, inviting me to famously romantic restaurants, the random gifts, her tender care when I was sick, and that night, she'd invited me into her bed. That was a test. 2. In my defense, how was I supposed to know that this beautiful, brilliant, intimidatingly wealthy woman was into me? I haven't read that many romance novels. I'm not so conceited as to assume kindness equals love, especially when I'm on the payroll. "You are such an idiot," she said, poking my cheek. "I told you I trusted you." So when she said she trusted me, she actually meant it. A soft pressure on my lips silenced me. Claire pulled back, a happy, triumphant smile on her face. She did it again. From the front seat, Chloe started to protest. "Hey, no fair." Claire shot her a look. "You keep quiet. I'll deal with you and Mom when we get home." Chloe knew she was busted. She slumped in her seat, muttering, "You want to talk?" "Excuse me?" Claire's voice was sharp. Chloe went silent. Eleanor tried to break the tension. "Now, girls, you need to get along." "You think you're getting out of this?" Claire said without turning around. "If I hadn't figured it out, who knows how long your little scheme would have gone on?" Eleanor shut her mouth. The car was quiet again, except for the sound of Claire humming happily. Snuggled against my arm, I looked down at her. It was so strange. The cold. Aloof CEO acting like this. The world had gone mad. "By the way," I asked, "what happened to Landon?" A strange look passed between the three of them. "Are you sure you want to know?" Claire asked. I nodded, then shook my head. Should I or shouldn't I? Claire looked ahead. "You'll see in a minute." A few minutes later, we pulled up to the house. Standing on the curb was Jake. "Hey, boss, you're back. And Ethan, good to see you." He had a suitcase at his feet. "You going somewhere?" I asked. Jake just grinned and scratched the back of his head. "Yeah, I'm quitting. Just wanted to say goodbye." That was a surprise. Jake was a great guy, always professional. "Well, take care of yourself," Claire said. "Thanks. You too." As we were talking, another figure emerged from the house. Landon. I watched, stunned, as he walked over to Jake and took his hand. "Well, we're off," Jake said, beaming. "Come on, sweetheart." He started to lead Landon away, but Landon stopped and walked over to me. I instinctively took a few steps back. I wanted no part of this. He stopped a few feet away, then bowed his head. "I'm sorry for everything." I just stared, speechless. Landon looked up, a small, genuine smile on his face. "Actually, I think I kind of like, I forgive you. Have a great trip," I shouted, cutting him off. If I heard another word, I'd be having nightmares for a week. Jake led Landon away. After they were gone, Claire explained what had happened. In the months I was gone, Landon's family had gone bankrupt. He'd come back to the States, hoping to use his connection with the Sterlings to pay off his debts. When that failed, his creditors came after him. He ended up being sold to some rich old guy with a taste for pretty young men. He was put through hell. And then, like a knight in shining armor, Jake appeared. He used his life savings to pay off a chunk of Landon's debt and rescued him. Between that and the trauma he'd endured, Landon's preferences had changed. I was floored. My joke from all that time ago had actually come true. Life is full of surprises, just as I never could have imagined years later. Things would end up like this. "Are you guys ready?" I fiddled with the camera looking at them. "Ready?" I set the timer and ran to join them. Click. The photo captured the four of us on the beach, frozen in a moment of pure joy. Though, to be honest, the three of them had been eating way too much lately. Their bellies were all getting so round. Later that night, back at the house, they wanted me to take more pictures of them. They'd strike a pose, making peace signs, but then they'd stick their tongues out and roll their eyes at me. And honestly, you'd think before a picture they'd wipe the milk off their faces. Honestly, so messy.